All right, welcome to our explainer. Today, we are getting into one of the most powerful ideas in finance, and really, in life itself. It's this concept of knowing when you have enough. I know, it sounds simple, right? But believe me, getting this one thing right can be the difference between a life of contentment and a life of constantly and dangerously wanting more. Okay, let's get right into it.
So there's this fantastic story about the authors Kurt Vonnegut and Joseph Heller. They're at this swanky party thrown by some billionaire hedge fund guy. And Vonnegut leans over and says, that guy, our host, made more money in a single day than you've made from your masterpiece, Catch-22, in its entire history. And Heller's response? Well, it's right here on the screen. It's just perfect. I have something he will never have. Enough. That one little sentence just cuts right to the very heart of what we're talking about today.
Enough. It's just one word, but what a powerful concept. The ability to actually feel like you have enough, that's not just a financial skill, it's basically a superpower. And when you lose sight of it, well, that's when things can go horribly, catastrophically wrong.
To really get what this means, we have to look at a couple of cautionary tales. These are stories about men who had it all. They'd reached the absolute top of their fields, and then they threw it all away. Why? Because for them, enough just wasn't in their vocabulary.
Okay, so look at these two guys, Rajat Gupta and Bernie Madoff. The key thing to realize here is who they were before everything blew up. Gupta was the CEO of McKinsey, for crying out loud. Madoff was running a massively successful and totally legal firm. These aren't guys struggling to pay the bills. They were titans. By any sane measure, they had already won the game.
Just let that number sink in for a second. $100 million. That's not I can retire comfortably money. That's I can do literally anything I want for the rest of my life and never think about money again money. It's pure freedom. And somehow, it still wasn't enough. And that brings us to the million-dollar question, or in their case, the billion-dollar question. Why? Why would somebody who has everything, the wealth, the power, the freedom, risk every single bit of it? The answer isn't about finances, it's about psychology. So here's the deal. Avoiding that trap isn't about getting lucky. It's a skill you have to learn. It's all about figuring out how to get the goalposts to stop moving. Let's break down what that actually looks like in practice.
All right, so here's our game plan. We're going to walk through these 4 key ideas that are just absolutely essential if you want to build that sense of enough for yourself. Let's kick it off with number 1, which might just be the hardest financial skill of all.
The problem really kicks in when our expectations start rising just as fast as our results, or maybe even faster. You get a promotion, you get a bigger paycheck, so you buy a bigger house, a fancier car, and all of a sudden you feel just as behind as you did before. It's this dangerous treadmill, right? Because the only way to feel like you're getting ahead is to take on more and more risk.
And this quote just nails it. This is the engine that keeps those goalposts moving, social comparison. It's that constant itch to look at what someone else has and feel like you're coming up short. And in the world we live in today, that is a game that you just cannot win, period.
And this is what that comparison game looks like when you map it out. It's crazy. The ceiling of who you can compare yourself to is so high it's practically in orbit. A rookie baseball player making $500,000 a year feels poor next to Mike Trout. But then Mike Trout looks at a top hedge fund manager and feels the same way, and it just keeps going all the way up. The game is rigged from the very start to make you feel dissatisfied.
So a friend of the author once asked a Las Vegas dealer, what's your advice? How do you win? And the dealer's answer is, without a doubt, the best advice for dealing with social comparison. The only way to win is to not play the game at all. Now let's be super clear about something. Saying you have enough doesn't mean you're lazy. It doesn't mean you lack ambition. Not at all. What it really means is that you have the wisdom to understand that a bottomless hunger for more is eventually going to push you somewhere you don't want to be, to a point of really painful, irreversible regret. Warren Buffett said this about some traders who were already fabulously wealthy, but then blew everything up reaching for more. And his logic, you can't argue with it, right? Risking something you actually have and truly need for something you don't have and don't need is just foolish. It's as simple as that. And that brings us to our last and honestly our most important point. What are those things that we have and need? What are the things in our lives that are so precious, so valuable, that you should never ever risk them in a game for more?
So after Rajat Gupta got out of prison, this was the big lesson he said he learned. He basically said, well, my reputation got trashed, so the lesson is
don't care about your reputation. But that's just him trying to make himself feel better. It completely, totally misses the real point.
Yeah, let's just be blunt. This is the worst possible lesson you could take from that experience. The real lesson isn't that reputation doesn't matter. The real lesson is that your reputation is so priceless that you should never risk it for a little more money you don't even need.
So this is the stuff that's truly invaluable. Your reputation, your freedom, your independence to live life the way you want to, your family and your friends, being loved by the people you want to love you, and just plain old happiness. These aren't just nice little extras. They're the whole point of everything. They're what money is supposed to help you protect, not what you're supposed to risk to get more of it. So, at the end of the day, the ultimate takeaway here is really a question that only you can answer for yourself. This isn't about some magic number in a bank account. It's about deciding for yourself where your goalposts are before the game even starts, so that you know when you've won. So what is your enough?